She is a school board member for the Jefferson County Board of Education and also frequent commenter. You'll see when we discuss education issues in our comment section on Facebook. And she's been on the program several times in the past. Donna, good morning. Thank you for being with us again.
Hello, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the program. How many years have you been on the BOE in Jefferson County?
I just finished my first 4-year term, so 4.5 years now.
Okay, so you made a comment in our Facebook comment section last week when we did a couple of shows we devoted to education, and it had to do with the balanced scorecard, and you made mention of the fact that this was an obstacle in some ways for getting things accomplished discipline-wise. If you remove the balanced scorecard, I think your quote read, you could help fix the discipline problem. Am I quoting you accurately?
Almost. Let me just say that I don't speak for the Jefferson County School Board as a whole. I speak for myself. I said that if you remove the discipline measure, that would likely change things. I believe that it could be used as a disincentive. A lot of the policies, have act as a disincentive for, you want to improve behavior, so they put the, and this is the K through 8 on the West Virginia scorecard, and a lot of people aren't familiar with the scorecard, but if you just go to the West Virginia Department of Ed scorecard, and it'll show up, and you can look at data for every state, every county, for the things that are measured. There are different things measured for elementary and middle versus high school. And for K through 8, one of the published data points is discipline, and that they measure the number of students with out-of-school suspension. So if a school wants to get a green light there, because it's color-coded. So you have a red, that means they're seriously not meeting the standard, and green, they're surpassing the standard. They're doing excellent in that category. So, some of the things are a lot harder to maybe control for, like attendance. So you want fewer red marks on that scorecard, perhaps, and I'm not speaking for any particular county, just in general. So the fewer times you suspend students, the better you're going to appear. So if you remove that can you hear me?
Yeah, you're doing great. Keep going.
Oh, okay, because my phone, I have 5G, and it suddenly vanishes, and then I never know if I'm connected. So if you remove that, schools may be freer or may be more willing to give an out-of-school suspension when necessary. And I'm not saying that children should be suspended out of school. There's all different levels, different reasons for disruptive behavior. Sometimes if you suspend a child outside, the out-of-school suspension, the parents are more likely to feel that, and maybe they're more likely to use better discipline strategies at home, because maybe they don't want to take off work to take care of their child at home or pay for child care. So, and it's not all students. Like I said, there's different reasons for discipline problems, but I think that might help if parents feel that it's gonna that they have to take some kind of responsibility, because I've heard people speaking even today that things are different than the way they used to be, and a lot of times I'll hear parents complain that, if they can't handle my child, then what am I paying them for? So they're not taking responsibility for their child's behavior.
Donna
A lot of times.
Donna Joy, our guest here on the program, and again, Donna made mention the fact early on she's speaking. These are her own opinions, not the official opinions of the Jefferson County Board of Education. So as we go forward, please keep that in mind. So the balanced scorecard effectively provides a disincentive for schools to be more strict in enforcing discipline, because if they do, it doesn't reflect well on the school. And if it doesn't reflect well on the school, Donna, what are the consequences for the school?
Well, I mean, so there's different factors, but after so many years, they may be like one of, Berkeley County, they're maybe being watched by a county for something. And Jefferson County, you can look on the state website and see Jefferson County, one of the schools was under watch because the low test scores for several years. So if the discipline is too high, too many out of school suspensions for too long, the state can come in and say they want to start training, and there's different levels of state intervention. Not many people or school districts want the state to come in for anything. I'm not giving a judgment. I'm just saying that, it's human nature. So those are things that can happen. So you want to minimize the amount of intrusion by outside parties as much as possible.
Matt Miller.
Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Yeah, it does. And I'm looking at that right now, the balanced scorecard released for public schools in West Virginia. And as I read, what I'm seeing now, unless I'm seeing something that's old, is based on the 2018-19 data, includes this information. Is it typically a few years behind in kind of catching up?
If you go to choose school year, you can pick different years. And right now, the data is available for the 2023-2024 school year.
Okay.
You can choose the district. So, like, I don't know if you see that, but you just scroll down. And then you can also see charter schools. And you can compare counties. You can go to your own county of interest. So I'm going to pull that up myself, and Jefferson County.
Some of this is buffoonery. I'm reading this.
Some of it's what?
Buffoonery, ridiculous, preposterous.
Well, a lot of policies are counterproductive. I think the goal is to improve, but graduation rates. You can see that, it's sometimes, and things are changing now, because I think that with the new state board, there is more accountability. And like 5 years ago, I didn't see a whole lot of accountability at from the state. It is improving. But if you want to, have high graduation rates, well, a lot of times you abuse credit recovery. And this is why I ran for school board. It's not a secret that I complained about those things. A child could get 5 credits in a day, literally. And I'm not exaggerating, because I taught credit recovery.
Wow.
And I saw it happening, and I complained. I went to everybody, and everybody would send me back to my local school board, and I would meet with various people, and I'm told, well, some people value graduation rates over learning.
That's ridiculous. The Oprah Winfrey method, and you get a car, and you get a credit, and you get a car, and that's ridiculous. Well, and getting back to the suspension thing, I don't think suspensions should be held against schools. if you've got, and we were at the last segment we had, I mean, if you have kids who are big discipline problems in a school, one kid with horrible discipline issues can affect the other 25 kids in the class to where they're not going to get their education properly. They're not going to head toward graduation. I mean, I think the needs of the many need to be addressed in that, and I think that's silly. I mean, I agree that test scores, graduation rates are very good measures of how a school is doing. I don't think suspensions and actually doing their job of disciplining kids should go against a school.
Well, I mean, I can see the maybe the reason to encourage schools to not do out-of-school suspension. For example, I was teaching high school math, and a student there was a drug deal going on that I became aware of, and I reported it, and I encouraged the administrator, to handle this student maybe differently. I was so afraid that if that child was suspended, that he was just going to go out on the street and get in worse trouble. And he ended up getting killed in a drug deal because he was not in school.
Sad.
So, I mean, there are the programs that were mentioned, and all the speakers were wonderful, the guests today. We do need alternative programs. And
does Jefferson County have an alternative program, Donna?
We have the OLC, Opportunity Learning Center, at the secondary level. I'm definitely going to be talking to the superintendent about the CARES Academy. In where I used to teach years ago, I left in 2021 in Arlington, Virginia. We had many of those programs, and the school district they were very wealthy, so they were able to afford the various programs in each school, not just one school. You have, like the high school where I taught, there was a school for the emotionally disturbed program. There was a learning disabled program. There was a program for life skills for the severely handicapped. And then there were kids that had gotten into any kind of legal trouble. So 4 different programs in the school.
Which school did you teach at?
Wakefield High School.
That was
at Thomas Jefferson.
Oh my gosh, I grew up in Crystal City. Yes, that was I went to Bishop Ireton, but Wakefield was my home school. Most of my friends went to Wakefield.
I just thought
the
Wakefield,
resources are greater.
The school system was so wonderful. I couldn't understand why people would pay to have their children go to private school because I had come from I went from one of the lowest school districts in the country to one of the highest. And so it's like night and day. You have the same kids. I taught in Baltimore City, and you have the same type of kids, but the difference, like we had in Arlington, kids coming over from D.C., where there's a high poverty, there was a 95% success rate at Arlington, whereas 5% in Baltimore with the same type of students. And the difference that I saw was that there was a much better investment in the students, and they didn't just dump money; they put the money into programs that were actually needed. And this CARES Academy sounds like an example of one of those programs that.
Donna, what currently happens in Jefferson County if you have disruptive kindergartners, first graders, second graders, third graders?
Mm-hmm. Well, so what happens versus what could be happening is very different. And let me just say what could be happening, because I would like people to know that, they could explore this for themselves, other board members or people in the community. But we have a new policy from the state that allows teachers, K through 8, if there's a disruptive student, they can remove that student, have the student removed. They are required to enter that into WEVIS within 24 hours. After 3 times, there's another level. There has to be a meeting with the administrator and the parent, but and nobody that I talked to knew about it. Any teacher at any level, they were surprised that this is a policy that the state enacted to, help with discipline. And I talked to teachers in various counties. So that could be happening, but even last night I asked a superintendent, how does the county deal with this? Well, it's not up and running yet. And because teachers told me they haven't been trained in how to enter it in WEVIS. Well, we don't have that ability yet. So the state is trying, clearly, but for things to trickle down. So what happens is sometimes students are, and it depends, you're saying the elementary level, sometimes students are, it really depends on the administration and the school. And I mean, I hear from different employees of their frustrations that the kid comes back with a lollipop, or if a child has a disability, if it's in their IEP, they're handled another way. Some students are given in-school suspension. In-school suspension it's not reflected on that scorecard. So in-school suspension could be, you sit in the office and get to, it's not, there's no incentive yet for the parents to get involved when the child is in school. Now, hopefully the administration contacts the parent and lets them know, but I personally, and like one of or more of the speakers said, when the parents are involved, and this is research-based, when parents are involved, there's less discipline problems. And just a simple example, should I stop talking and somebody ask
good. John has a question.
The breakdown of the American family. This WEVIS that you were talking about, is that a state-based reporting system, or is that just a Jefferson County system?
Oh, no, WEVIS is how, it's the state database where students, everything is entered into the system. And the teachers usually, they enter grades. Administrators usually enter the discipline in the past. And this is why, I believe that the state said, okay, we are going to let our teachers do it, because there were many years of complaints from teachers that we send a student out, they come back with the cookie, and nobody ever hears what happens to that student. They did XYZ, but, who knows what happened to them. So the state said, okay, well, then let the teachers put this in themselves. Maybe there's a lag in informing students or teachers about their ability to do this, because, you may not want your teachers who are, right there in the front lines to be the ones to make the decision about the behavior and report it, because maybe you'll get more reports that way. I don't know. I can't say I'm just human nature.
2 minutes left. Matt Miller.
I was going to ask if a teacher then has a student in a third grade class who is being disruptive and refuses to listen to any instruction, and that teacher says, okay, I need to remove you from the classroom, where does that student go at that moment?
They send them to the office, or they have another teacher. Sometimes teachers agree. I have a student that's not working well today. Can they sit in your class? And that way they're out of the room, and it's the level of discipline or management that's needed depending on the infraction. So, each school, they have different norms and policies, but let's just say they're sent to the office, and they would likely sit there till, okay, you sit with us till lunchtime, till you cool off, and then you go back to class. Or maybe, depending on the administrator, well, I am 100% supportive of the teacher, and I will, I know that your teacher wouldn't send you out for no reason. So at lunchtime, I'm going to meet with the teacher, the three of us, and we're going to find out exactly what happened, not just your story that
Donna,
she was mean to you.
On that note, I have to go. I appreciate your time this morning. Good information.